Exactly. So financial independence takes you, I think, abroad.
Abroad, yeah.
Takes
Oh,
you
wherever. Or to
away.
Gurgaon.
Oh, Gurgaon, exactly.
Or to Bombay.
Yes, anywhere exactly, away from the parents. But I think that's middle age. So I'm there. You have a long
I
way
think
to
it's
go.
unfair to call 40s middle age because 40 is like the new 30.
Thank you. Yes. So that doesn't give away anything about my age, but I'm glad you say that. So when you reach a certain age, you start, kind of wondering about family. You're bringing up your own family, and you're also looking after your parents. So I find sometimes you're kind of caught in the middle, listening to your kids and also having to look after your parents, and maybe that's a trigger for this midlife crisis.
I think it's just about having to play too many roles and too many roles to perfection. I think there's one way of looking at it. The joint family setup was very good for kids, I'm told. Children grew up in a very insulated, a very loving atmosphere, which today is not really the case. A lot of working parents are resorting to support and help staff to take care of their kids. And I'm not sure how that goes down and we don't even know the implications of what kind of a society that's going to create, because today you have a generation of children being brought up in affluent families, double income families, where mothers work, fathers work, and even though they do the best that they can, the children are essentially being brought up by support staff and by domestic staff. And what kind of securities, insecurities, complexities those kids are going to grow up with, and how they will present a new generation of people in the next 10 years is going to be an interesting thing to observe.
Exactly. And so that's interesting. So relationship with the domestic staff also is a critical, interesting part of the
It's
book.
the backbone of your life if you live,
Exactly.
if you're a working couple.
Absolutely. So I know I'm okay if my husband falls ill. I don't want him to fall ill, but I can handle it. But if the maid falls
And
ill,
this is the conversation we've had before.
yes. So the interesting thing in the book is the maid. Jhumpa is maid, Gayatri's maid. She falls in love and elopes with the driver. And so
Which would be very convenient because the driver works for you, the maid works for you. Why run away when you can have it all?
Exactly. So that's very interesting. That causes a rift between the couple because Gayatri is completely aghast and she has these views that it is not done. How dare the maid, fall
Yeah,
in
but it's
love.
okay for me to have a love marriage, but my maid shouldn't.
And
okay.
Exactly. Shouldn't fall in love. You can okay to fall in love, but you can't run away with the driver and go back on the job. And Varun, who's now in love with Sweetie,
He supports the love.
he supports the
Okay.
So it's also to see how we change and the worldview kind of shifts
Depending on where you are.
Yeah. Depending upon where you are. So
Interesting.
Yes. So I'm going to read a little bit about. We spoke about families. So this is a little scene, and I kind of like this scene. It's about page 66. This is where Sweetie has gone for a little holiday in the hills. 67. A few 100 kilometers away, at a family picnic outside the Lakeview Resort in Nainital, Sweetie Singh spreads green mint chutney on slices of white bread and handed them to her children, who cluster around her on the maroon dhari, which is slowly becoming damp as it absorbs the dew from the grass under it. Her mother-in-law instructs her to open a packet of potato chips. A sister-in-law asks her to add ketchup for the chutney for her son. And her husband says, "Oi sweetie, zara Pepsi dena." As she hands him a paper cup with the drink, he hums, "Sweetie, sweetie, sweetie, tera pyar jayeda." The rest of the family laugh indulgently. Her mother-in-law looks at Sweetie as if to say, "You don't know how lucky you are to have a husband like my son." Amandeep slurps down the drink, leaving a few brown drops glistening on his mustache. Sweetie turns away. So then she starts thinking about how she came to be married and how she ended up as being Mrs. Amandeep Singh. So I think that's the entire family is there, and a lot of my friends were saying, yes, we know these family gatherings and family picnics, and so the full force of the family has been launched in front of Sweetie, who's kind of grappling with early stages of a love affair. So that's how the family pans out, and of course the whole story is about what happens to their marriage and what happens to Sweetie and Amandeep, and it's an interesting ending. But the way I also thought about the end, and I won't give that away right now, because in an affair you want to know, okay, what's going to happen? Who's going to leave whom, and are they going to end up together, or who's going to ditch whom? So some interesting stuff happens at the end. But I think the whole point of writing about infidelity and adultery is I didn't see the book as about that, but it's also to make it more open, to have conversations about what happens if or when your partner strays.
I think that's really interesting. It would depend on how you define stray. Is stray an isolated incident, or is it a habitual series of isolated incidents, or is it a parallel relationship? So I think when initially the relationship is under strain, you probably start off with isolated incidents which occur at both ends, maybe from the wife's perspective and from the man's perspective, the husband's perspective. And then if you fail to correct the reasons that have led to the strain, then it probably leads into a pattern of such isolated acts. And eventually, when that becomes a habit, out of the isolated acts, you probably find one which you allow yourself to sink your teeth into, and it becomes a parallel relationship. That's the way I would see it, logically, in my mathematical brain.
Yes. So the question is what happens after that, and I think that's the conversation after reading, at least I'd like people to have. So your partner has strayed, or it's happened, you're into a relationship, you can't stop yourself from relationship A, you can't extricate yourself from the relationship you're in, so what do you do?
So I think again, I would have to look at the factors of why you've strayed. You've strayed outside because you lack companionship. Then there's a serious problem in your relationship to begin with, the one that you have. If you can't sit down and have a conversation with the person you're married to, then there's I would say serious trouble. If you're straying out of lust, and then trying to find meaning in that lust, I think that's still a situation that can be salvaged. But if you manage to find a combination of companionship and lust, then I'd say it's best to part ways. I mean, because I'm thinking, if there is something that's driven me or my partner out of lust towards something, it's probably because, reasonably speaking, familiarity breeds contempt. And there's always going to be, no matter how clever you are, no matter how smart you're about things, there's definitely going to be a decline in the novelty of being with somebody and what they bring. The joke's no longer going to be funny. The passion is definitely going to reduce. And if you're okay with that, then that's fine. But if you need that, if you're a serial passion junkie, you're probably going to go looking for that kind of passion outside somewhere. And God forbid you find passion and companionship. But I think the knowledge that passion by definition is short-lived. It's not something which is sustainable. I mean, it's clearly driven by a flame, and you are going to reach a stage where the law of diminishing marginal utility will apply. So, if I were a person who was finding myself drawn to somebody for lust, I would evaluate the situation and say, look, DMU is applying here, it will eventually apply there. I mean, the point is, if the passion has dwindled here, it's going to dwindle there as well. Do I want to get into a situation where I want to go in, I mean, all things be equal, I will reach that plateau of passion.